Hello, you lovely people. This is me, the Bombay Chef Varun Inamdar, and welcome to Rajshri Food. What I have with me is frozen kathal. If you remember, a couple of months back, I'd shown you how to cut a jackfruit and convert that into a tandoor. Well, today's recipe is my take on that same jackfruit, which I requested all of you to keep it deep frozen. The recipe for the day, Kathal Ki Biryani. Well, Kathal Ki Biryani suddenly has become extremely popular, not just in India, but across the globe. Let's begin Kathal Biryani. Now, this kathal for the uninitiated was cleaned well, it was cut into large chunks, and then it was pressure cooked with a little bit of salt and turmeric. Now, this is ready and done. In case you feel this is not available very easily, what you can also do is use a canned variety of jackfruit, or you can also use something called a breadfruit, which is available right up to mid-September because it's available through the monsoon and it's beautiful as well. So let's drop this in water for a little while so that this gets defrosted, it gets thawed, and that's very important for this recipe. Do not use it straight from the freezer. I'm quickly going to light the flame, keep a wok on it, and allow this to heat. And while that's heating, we're going to slice an onion nice and thin. Once the wok heats up, let's add in some cooking oil. Well, crushing the onions is just going to ensure that the onions cook faster and crisper. And to aid that, I'm going to add in a little bit of salt. Just while adding salt later, ensure that you know that you've added it already. Let's mix this well. While the onions are getting brown, let's quickly also start making the rice. For which, of course, we need another pan and water in that. Let's add in some salt. And this, of course, Garam Masala. What I'm doing categorically in this recipe is I'm only using Garam Masala in its powdered form because I do not want that whole spice to kind of spoil the flavor and mouthfeel while eating. So, just being a little more empathetic. Allow this water to come on an absolute roll boil. Now here the question could be how much salt, generally we say salt as required or salt to taste, but there are some recipes in which salt needs to be absolutely well measured. For every liter of water that is used for cooking rice, I personally use 1 teaspoon of salt, and that is just about perfect because initially, of course, the water is salty. It's almost like seawater, but for cooking rice, that's just about perfect. Remember this. Once the onions turn golden brown in color, just like this, off goes the flame. And I'm going to remove a little for the eventual garnish. The remaining, of course, can stay in oil because the oil and the onions, of course, going to be used for the recipe. At this point in time, the flame is off. Let's add in the remaining ingredients, beginning with curd. Let's add in paste of ginger, garlic and green chilies, red chili powder. Now this, of course, is a combination of good color and flavor. A touch of turmeric, garam masala powder, some slit green chilies. Now in this case, I have categorically used 2 different chilies, one for spice and one for flavor. A touch of sugar. This is not for sweetness. This is just to kind of balance all the flavors. Freshly squeezed, of course, lemons. Ensure you collect all the seeds because you do not want any untoward flavors in your mouth. And finally, last but not the least, salt. Let's mix all of this together and ensure this becomes like a nice biryani masala. While doing this, ensure that you also break the curd lumps because that is not something that would be required in this recipe. Ensure it breaks and becomes part of this masala completely. With this, our biryani masala is done and ready. And if you realize and notice, the water is also rolling and boiling. Let's add in our soaked long grain rice. While the rice is now boiling, let's move back to the biryani masala. And to this, let's add in the star of this recipe. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, kathal. Let's slide this straight into the masala. The extremely light hands, let's mix this like so. Scrape and clean the sides. And now you're ready to add in the rice, which is 80% cooked. Ensure while adding the rice, you try and drain out all the possible water. Now finally adding in a little bit of turmeric powder, and that is just to bring in that yellow beautiful color to the rice. Let's mix this well. Just ensure it's not too thick, neither should it be too thin. Swirl it like so. This way the rice gets that dual shade which is required for a beautiful looking biryani. At this stage, do not overdo the turmeric for a simple reason, because turmeric has a tendency to get bitter after it gets cooked. So in moderation, this is just about perfect. Any food coloring of your choice, if you're the kinds who likes that beautiful colorful biryani, go all out and do that. The only thing is, at this stage, I'm not adding in fried onion, I'm not adding in coriander, I'm not adding in mint, because I personally feel it just gets discolored and that's not the most amazing looking biryani. At this stage, I'm going to cover this, and all this while, if you recollect, the flame has been off. Let's turn the flame on. Let's keep it on high for the first 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes, we turn the flame on a low and cook this on dum 22 minutes. It's been 22 minutes on dum on an absolute low flame, and the biryani is perfectly done by now. With this, off goes the flame. Do not be in a hurry to open the lid immediately. Just allow the steam to settle for 4 to 5 minutes, and after that, the most amazing, flavorful Kathal ki biryani will straight go in an earthenware pot. Let's wait for 5 minutes. The steam has beautifully settled. Quickly ruffle the rice with very light hands. If you see in this case, it's the natural yellow color of the turmeric. Just want to move the rice side like so. Let's transfer this straight in the serving bowl. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our flavorful Kathal ki biryani is done and ready. Make this for your family, make this for your friends. You serve this with a kachumbar, a kosambri, or best with a raita. Garnish this with some barista, which we'd actually kept aside, and some mint leaves. Try this and let me know how you like it. Bye for now.